Good morning, and now for something different. The lovely Leanne from That Last Story has tagged me in on a 10 question, what would you call it? Oh Lord, I don't know what to call it. Let's just do it before I scare myself into not doing it. I've emailed the 10 questions to Joe, and he's going to read them out from behind the camera, so we'll just do it and see how I get on. I haven't thought about it. I think it's best to just go for it. Go on, Joe.
Okay, 1. Who did you spend New Year with and what did you do?
Right, I spent New Year home alone, which was fine. Joe was out, and I went to bed about 10ish, or probably 10:30. I was listening to a book by Leanne Moriarty on Audible, which I think is called Here One Moment. I'm still actually listening to it because I'm currently reading 3 books. So, yeah, I was listening to the book, and then around midnight, or I suppose on the stroke of midnight, where we live, there were fireworks, and I believe they were coming from the castle, from Nottingham Castle. And I did a really daft thing. I jumped out of bed, opened the curtains, and I don't know why I thought I'd be able to hear them better if I opened the curtains, because I can't see them anyway. But I stood in the French door in my bedroom. Didn't open the door because it was too cold and dark, but I stood in the French doorway while the fireworks went off, and then I knew it was New Year. Then of course the texts start coming in from your friends, don't they? Wishing you a happy New Year. And you're glad you're still awake, because otherwise they'd have all woken you up. So that was my New Year, home alone, and fine. I enjoyed it. I don't mind being home alone. Next.
2. What did you toast with on New Year?
Right, I didn't particularly toast the New Year. I don't think I even thought about toasting in the New Year. The last drink that I had, the drink I took to bed with me, was a mug of Yorkshire tea. Alcohol didn't seem to come into the equation. We have got alcohol in the house. I've got Prosecco that somebody bought for my birthday in September, but to be honest, I haven't even tried it. I'm probably the only person in my Slimming World group who hasn't drunk Prosecco. It doesn't appeal. I like champagne because it's very dry and very, very, very fizzy, but Prosecco makes me think of going back into the 80s when we all used to drink Asti Spumante, and I wasn't a big fan of that. So, or Babycham. Is it anything like Babycham? I didn't toast in the New Year. Yeah, as I said, I didn't even think about doing that. Okay, 3.
New Year's resolutions. Do you make them, and if so, what were yours?
Good question. Do I make New Year's resolutions? I like to think I don't, because I know that I wouldn't stick to them. I've talked before about, all these really big ideas for the new year. I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to do more exercise, I'm going to, not buy so many clothes, I'm going to not spend so much money. And all of those things tend to go out the window in the first week of January for me. The one thing I did decide to do, and I'm already stressing other people out about it, is actually have a no-spend January. I watch a lot of frugal channels and a lot of financial channels, and I love numbers. More than words, more than letters, more than anything, I love numbers. And I think if I hadn't lost my sight, I would have probably gone into employment with regard to numbers. I worked in insurance for the best part of 20 years, but I would have loved to have worked in finance. I'd have loved to have been something like a financial advisor or a debt counsellor. I just love resolving things with numbers. So I decided back in December that I was going to do a no-spend January. Now the channels I watch, people like Kate Caden, Frugal Stew, Joshua Beckham, all sorts of people who talk about finances. Austin Williams is probably my favourite. But all those channels where people teach you budgeting, teach you financing, teach people how to get out of debt, etc., really float my boat. So, back in December, I decide no spend January. Now, a no spend January doesn't mean depriving yourself of anything. It just means not spending extras. You pay your bills, you pay your dues and demands, you buy your shopping, everything normal, you pay your council tax, your mortgage if you've got one, all those sort of things. But you don't make unnecessary purchases. So I spoke to my husband back in December, and I spoke to Joe and said, I'm not spending on Amazon in January. And I am, for want of a better word, a bugger for ordering from Amazon. I order far too much stuff. Not like because I'm a hoarder, because I'm not, I'm a minimalist, but because if I need something, I don't think, oh, I'll wait till I go shopping. I just think, oh, I'll order it on Amazon. We've got Prime, it doesn't matter. So I spoke to my husband, spoke to Joe and said, our Amazon Prime is due for renewal on the 28th of December. I'm freezing it until the 1st of February. Do you need anything before I freeze it? And they both said, no, not bothered. You're the one who uses Prime. And then within 2 days of it being frozen, Joe needed it, so he had to pay the delivery. And then this morning, my husband needed it, so he's had to pay the delivery. And part of me feels a bit mean because they've spent more on delivery than I would have spent on this month's Amazon Prime. But I'm focusing on what I'm learning from Mel Robbins, which is let them. I gave them a month's notice. I'm not being mean. I said this is what I'm going to do and I meant it. And I have to stand by it because I intend to restart my Prime membership on the 1st of February. So they can have free delivery again after the 1st of February. And in my head, this is just me making a sensible choice. And that's probably the nearest to a New Year's resolution that I got, because I actually believe New Year is a continuum. For me, it's a continuum. It's not a new start. I'm not a new person. I go to bed on New Year's Eve. I wake up on New Year's Day and I'm still me. And it's all about the action I'll take throughout the year that could change anything that needs changing. Magic doesn't work on New Year's Day morning. I might wake up, I've done over the years, with all these amazing ideas, and usually by lunchtime I've forgotten them anyway. And I just don't believe that life changes that simply. I think life is about hard work and graft. And if you want something enough, you have to work for it. And if you want to be a nicer person, you have to practice being a nicer person. And if you want to be a slimmer person, you have to practice eating differently. And if you want to be a kinder person, you have to practice generosity. And I think the key to a lot of things, including finances, is generosity. So, yeah. What was the simple question? Do I have any New Year's resolutions? And there I go, spouting off at the mouth again. But yeah, that's me and my resolutions. Thanks. Next, Joe.
What lessons did you learn from 24?
I learned a massive lesson in the earlier few months of 2024. And that was, I can't take my eye off the ball. I can't not pay attention. Because I think, I mentioned before in my video that my friend was very ill with cancer and she passed away in October. But she was very ill for like 3.5 years. And for the first 2.5 years of it, I actually was fine. I was, keeping one eye focused on me, keeping one eye on her, and living my life according to the way I needed to live it. But then once, her name was Val, I'm going to call her Val. Once I arranged for Val to go into a nursing home, which was quite close to where I lived, I took my eye off everything and focused on her needs. And that was October of 2023. And from October of 2023, I think I honestly started to gain weight because I wasn't paying attention. And it wasn't like I was madly overeating all the time, because I don't think I was. I think I was just madly eating everything that wasn't appropriate, everything that wasn't on plan, everything that was easy. Yes, sometimes I overate because I was dealing with my emotions. But she said to me a couple of times about me gaining weight. And we were like sisters. We were straight John Bull with each other. And she tried to like bring it to my attention. And I tried like hell to ignore her. And I think by May, I really was feeling it. And I didn't realise how much weight I had gained. And I felt awful. And I took the decision to go back to Slimming World, swallow my pride and just do it. And I did. And I told her that I'd gone back, and she just smiled about it. She was happy about it. And then, you know, life went on, but I was eating differently again. And it was actually easier to eat on plan and not have to make decisions all the time, not have to consider other people, just think about myself, think about what I was eating, plan what I was eating, shop for what I was eating. And that actually gave me more time to focus on her instead of focusing on myself, because I'd taken away all the decision making. And I actually dreaded her passing away. But what I learned when she did pass away was life is short. She was older than me, but it doesn't matter whether you die when you're 20, 40, 60, 80 or 100. Life is always going to be too short. So I learned that what matters is today, what's happening today, what I'm doing today. Other people will live according to what they need to do, but what matters is what I'm doing today. So yeah, I learned a lot about relationships in that way, especially now I'm getting older. I learned a lot about relationships. But I also learned that if I don't look after myself, as in if we were in an aeroplane, if I didn't grab my oxygen mask first, I couldn't help anybody else. So if I'm not looking after myself physically, emotionally, spiritually, I can't do anything for anybody else. I just can't. And the other thing I learned in 2024, because was that the question, Joe? What did I learn in 2024?
Yeah.
I learned what the word slay or slayed means from Leanne. I'd never heard this expression before, Leanne. You were slaying things or not slaying things, and all I could visualise was a bloody dragon. Until Joe explained it to me, and it means succeeding and conquering and overcoming, and I like it. I might even start using the word. So thanks for that, Leanne. Next one, Joe.
If you could have 3 wishes in 2025, what would they be?
Jeez, I think this is the one I'm going to struggle with. One pointless, daft wish for me as a blind person would be, I wish somebody would invent a mobile phone for the blind that actually does what it says it's going to do. Because over the years I've had so many, haven't I, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
And none of them do what they promise they'll do. And the latest one I've got, which I got in May, I think. Some days I could throw it because it's so slow and it's so, I don't know, frustrating. And it does some of what it says it'll do. I can watch YouTube on it, I can listen to podcasts on it. But if I want to send a text on it, which I do send a lot of texts, it's a bloody nightmare, to be honest. So yeah, wish one. Somebody like Apple or Samsung put a phone together that is actually really effective for blind people. Yeah, Apple and Samsung both put speech systems on their phones, but they're not 100% effective for a totally blind person. I think a lot of them work for people with partial sight, which is wonderful, but somebody like me, no, I've tried them. They don't do what I want them to do. So that would be wish number one, because that would make my life easier. picking up emails, picking up texts, answering those things would be a lot easier if my phone did what it said it would do. My second wish would be one of the obvious ones, which is war. I wish war would stop. I'm specifically thinking about Israel. I'm specifically thinking about the Ukraine. It all seems so pointless to me. I know if you believe in the Bible, it says all of these things are going to happen in Revelation. But actually seeing them in my lifetime is something I never thought I would do. And as somebody who says I am a Christian, what's happening in Israel, I don't even have to stop to think which side I'm on. I'm not on either side. I just wish they'd stop it. You know, it just seems like such a waste of life. And when I think about Ukraine and those poor people who keep getting bombed and the poor Russians who keep getting killed, who don't even probably want to be there, it's like any war, isn't it? The generals at the top make the decisions, but they always make sure they're safe and they make sure their families are safe. They're not the ones on the front lines with the guns or the missiles or whatever. I just wish something would happen in the world that just said, stop. Life is more important. So that's my kind of serious response. And my other response, which is not particularly serious to anybody but me, is I wish somebody would make a decision about my driveway. I hate it. We've got a brick driveway, which we had done when we had our bungalow extended nearly 30 years ago. I've hated it since the day it went down. And the longer it's down, the worse it gets, and the more I dislike it. And I just wish somebody would make a decision, and I know that should be me, to get it taken up, have it tarmacked, concreted, whatever people do with drives these days. I'm totally out of touch. I just can't face the thought of having it done. The destruction and the mess and the dirt of having it done. And I know it needs doing. So I wish I could just click my fingers or wake up one morning and it was done. I've been having the similar battle with the internal doors in my home. I've actually made a decision before Christmas, chose new doors, and probably next week or the week after we're having all new doors. That's taken me about 4 years to get to that place. And it's not because I'm indecisive, because I'm not an indecisive person. I'm actually a very compulsive person, very probably too fast to make decisions sometimes. So this time it's actually been good that I've really thought out the doors and decided what I want rather than what everybody else thinks would be a good idea. I'm happy with what I'm going to do because I am doing exactly what I want. But the driveway, every time I step out of the door onto it, I think, please, somebody change this driveway. Daft, but that would be one of my wishes. And I don't buy lottery tickets, so I'm not wishing to win the lottery, because it don't happen without a ticket. Okay, next one, Jay.
What wise pearl of wisdom would you give to others in 25 to help them?
I think this one is really basic. Be yourself. Do yourself. Don't try to compete or compare with anybody else. You are good enough as you are. And if you want to polish it and improve on it a bit, because A, you want to lose weight, or you want to learn a language, or you want to travel, or you want to achieve anything, learn anything, bring anything into your life that's going to improve it, do it for you. You can't change to please your husband, your kids, your mum, your dad, your friends. Because even if you do those things, and I know because I've done it, over my life I've lost weight so many times before I was married, for the man in my life. Once I was married to try and please my husband, because my husband's like, what am I? I'm 5'2". My husband's 6'4.5". We looked like the odd couple really when I was really overweight. Once remember being at Trent cricket ground watching cricket match and somebody whistled the Laurel and Hardy theme tune as we walked past, you know, because there was one tall skinny one and one fat one. I've never forgotten that. I mean, at the time I laughed, but it hurt like hell. So my advice, my pearl of wisdom would be, never try to be anybody but yourself. You're good enough. And if you try to be somebody else, you won't succeed, because you're only judging their outsides against your insides. You don't know what's going on inside. You know, I might say, I would love to be 5'6". Not sure I would actually, but say I did. I'd love to be 5'6". I'd love to be a size 12. That's perfect. Well, if you talk to most women who are 5'6", size 12, they probably don't think that's perfect. I'm judging my insides, my emotions, my feelings by their outsides. They might look the part, but inside they might be going through a really crappy relationship breakdown. They might have a health issue. They might have debts up to their eyeballs. Do you want all of that goes with being 5'6" and a size 12? No, thank you. I know what's going on in my life. I know I have no debts. I know I have no health issues, thank God. I know that the weight problem I have I can deal with. I know all that. Why would I want to swap for what I perceive somebody else has got? I love it when Leanne talks about travelling. You know, she wants to travel the world, and that's wonderful. You know, but God, if you said to me, Jane, you've got to go here and you've got to do this and we're going for a day to there, and I would be like, no, I'll pay you not to go. So don't, you know, I can't judge my insides by Leanne's outsides. She's got the bug to travel, and that is wonderful, but we're wired really differently. So yeah, be yourself in 2025. Next.
If you could travel to one place in 25, where would you go with no limits?
Oh, that's a no-brainer. I would go to San Francisco. I've been before, and I have to say I absolutely loved it. And I've got no great ambitions when people say, do you want to, you know, go to America? There isn't another place in America I'd want to go. I've got good friends who go to New York every year, and I know I would be welcome to go with them. I know I would. But no, that doesn't appeal. Too busy, too loud, too noisy, too fast, too whatever. And they always go just before Christmas. Now, I went to San Francisco for a couple of weeks just before Christmas. And oh my God, it was magic. But it was my kind of magic. I love the fact that it's on big hills. I love the fact they've got an amazing cathedral with the biggest Christmas tree I've ever seen in my life, and it was all hanging with socks and gloves and gifts for the homeless. I loved such a variety of people I have never come across in my life. And before I went there, I think I was quite naive. I think San Francisco must be quite the gay capital of America, because nearly everybody was out loud and proud. And I liked that. I really liked it. I'd never experienced that in Nottingham. We went to some fabulous carol concerts. Everything was happy holidays, season's greetings. The shops were amazing. They got the biggest Levi's store in the world, and I love Levi's. Just everything about it, you know, sitting on the dock of a bay, like Otis Redding said you should, if you're old enough to know that song. We did it. We saw, I don't know if there were sea lions or whatever. Oh, it's just, we did everything we wanted to do. We ate everywhere we wanted to eat. I went with a friend. The only frustration I found was that I wanted to walk everywhere and my friend didn't. So we caught a lot of their big tram things, and I wanted to walk across the Golden Gate Bridge. She didn't, because it was too far. We did a boat trip. We did all the other stuff. It was just mind-blowing. I regret the fact that I didn't go to the Napa Valley while I was there, the winemaking area. But what would stop me going back is only one simple thing. I don't dislike flying. I love taking off and I love landing. I just don't like the boredom of being stuck up there for 11 and a half hours. I found that endlessly tedious. I mean, we flew back, setting off in the afternoon, late afternoon, but of course the time difference made it night time. We were flying back into a different time zone, and they are like, I don't know, 7 hours difference. They were 7 hours behind. So when you get on the plane, the first thing they did was all the stewards, most of them were stewards, not stewardesses, most of them, they went around and they closed all the blinds on the windows and put the lights down and made it like night time, because we were going to be flying back into night time. And I immediately thought, what do I do now? So everybody starts to go to sleep. And those who didn't go to sleep stuck on headphones and started watching films on the screens. I'm not a film watcher. I would struggle to sit through a whole film. I don't mind if I can stop it every 20 minutes and go for a wee or make a cup of tea or do something, but I cannot sit through a whole film. I just get bored. And so they darkened the plane and everybody went off to sleep, and eventually one of the stewards said to me, we're having a chocolate party in the cabin thing where the stewards hang out. Do you want to come? And honest to God, I don't think I've ever seen so much chocolate. They had every kind of chocolate because we were flying with Virgin and people could have whatever chocolate they wanted. And we all just sat on the floor and drank red wine and ate chocolate for about an hour and a half. Then I went back to my seat, totally high on sugar, and there was no way I was going to go to sleep then. And all I remember thinking when we landed at Heathrow was, oh God, thank goodness that's over. And thinking about it now, I would love to go to San Francisco again, especially at Christmas, but there's no way I'm choosing to sit on a plane for 11 and a half hours. Yeah. So that's the one place. Everywhere I've been to other places in the world, I've been to holiday destinations and sunny places and that. They're not really my bag because I'm not a sun worshipper. I'm a person who stays out of the sun. So...
Do you have any regrets in 24?
No, not really, because, thanks for moving me on, Joe. Do I have any regrets in 24? I don't tend to collect regrets. I believe in living in the day as much as I can, and I've tried to do this for a long time. So any regrets I had wouldn't go back beyond midnight. One regret today, I left my tea bag in my tea too long this morning. My tea was too strong. Is that a regret? That's the only regret I've got today. Next.
What is your favourite memory of 24?
Oh my Lord. I remember when I was typing them out thinking, what is my favourite memory of 2024? I'm going to bring it back to Slimming World. Back in May, just before I rejoined group, I was looking for a consultant who spoke my language, who had walked my walk, who understood where I would be coming from. So I rang around a few consultants and they were all nice. But I wanted one who'd lost a lot of weight. I wanted one who'd kept it off for a long time. I wanted one who didn't pussyfoot around it, who was a straight talker. And I rang a lady called Yvonne. And she claims I interviewed her, and I think I probably did, really. I asked her about her history as a Slimming World leader. I asked her about her history as a Slimming Worlder. I asked her where she started. She said 20 stone. Immediately I thought, this girl's going to get me, because I started my weight loss journey at 22 stone. I asked her how long she'd been at Target, and she's been at Target for quite a few years. And I asked her, different things about the plan that would make a difference to me. And I realised we eat quite differently, but we both believe in the plan. And I think that phone call is one of my best memories of 2024 because she gave me hope. I asked when her next group was, and she said, Tuesday. And I said, I'll be there. Oh, I asked if she'd ever had a blind person in her group before. And she said, no, but I've had a deaf lady. that was good enough. She had, and I'll tell you something, since I've gone back, she is awesome. She greets me at the door every week. She takes me to the, through the pay and way. And at the end of the meeting, she says to me, hold on 1 second, I'll walk you out to the car. And every week she walks me out to the car. And we always have a chat about how the week's been, a bit more personal chat about how the week's been. And I always come away feeling inspired, motivated, and looking forward to the next meeting. So, yeah, they're my, and we always laugh in group. There's a lot of humour in my group, and I think we need that. Sometimes you have to laugh at yourself and with others. So, yeah, they're my good memories of this year. And I'm taking them, of last year, and I'm taking them forward into this year. I intend to keep going. Next.
And what are your top 3 favourite YouTube channels at the moment?
This is question 10. My top 3 favourite YouTube channels. Probably, none of them is Slimming World. And I'm only going to say that because I couldn't pick 1 or 2 and say these are my favourites, because I watch more than 2 Slimming World channels, but I don't watch them all. I'm much more into minimalism, frugality, some cooking stuff, but only the right kind of thing for me. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and say it. My favourite 3 channels as of today are Jessie at Plot 37, which I watch when she uploads every Tuesday late afternoon. Jessie is a young woman, probably in her 30s, and her mum is probably around my age, and they have an allotment. Now, I have absolutely no interest in gardening. I own 2 lawns and 1 cherry tree. No flower borders. But I love their channel. I find it really relaxing, really interesting. So, Jessie at Plot 37. My second one would be Atomic Shrimp, which you would either love or you would hate. It's very varied. This is a guy probably retired or around retired.